Welcome to Save As Ability, a podcast to educate and inform you about disability employment issues. My name is David D'Arcangelo, and I'm your disability policy expert. Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Save As Ability. It's David D'Arcangelo, and I keep saying we're at 2,000 subscribers. This episode, truly, we are right at 2,000 subscribers on YouTube, so we appreciate you. And help us get over 2,000. If you could like, subscribe, comment, share, all that stuff really does help us keep great content flowing for you. So, all right, this episode is about a major program in federal benefits, and that is the Ticket to Work program, which was administered by the Social Security Administration. And I get a lot of questions about this on for Archangel Communications. And as I'm talking to people about, hey, what do I got to do? I'm on the benefits and I want to get off the benefits. And, this is a way to be able to do that, at least in theory. So I wanted to talk about this. Okay. And so let's start at the highest level. Like, what is Ticket to Work? So Ticket to Work was created by Congress in 1999. And there's like an act named after it and everything. And it's run by the Social Security Administration. Okay. And what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to help people who are receiving Social Security benefits. Okay. Social Security disability insurance and supplemental security income. And it's supposed to help them get back to work without losing their benefits too quickly, without, it's trying to address the whatever you want to call it, cash cliff or benefits cliff, whatever the case may be. And how it's supposed to work is that if you get SSI or SSDI and you're between, your working age, so you're between the ages of 18 and 64, you receive a ticket, okay, from the Social Security Administration. And that ticket can be assigned to any government-approved provider. And oftentimes that's either a vocational rehabilitation agency or a private employment network, okay? Now, in theory, this helps the provider help find you a job, keep a job, and eventually get off of the disability benefits, okay? Now, I'm saying in theory, and I'm prefacing all this stuff because, unfortunately, since 1999, here we are now 26 years in, the results haven't been great, okay? And the data yields that. The information that we have and many reports that have been produced by Congress, the Inspector General, think tanks, all this, all indicate that the program participation here is not really where it needs to be to have the program be fully successful, at least as it was conceived. And so let's go over some of this, all right? One of the main things is that the provider only gets paid if you succeed, if the person with the disability succeeds in meeting the specific earning milestones over time, which is like proven to be problematic for getting success there. And as a result, the participation of beneficiaries accessing Ticket to Work remains low. Out of the millions of eligible Americans that are getting SSA benefits or, SSI, SSDI, only somewhere between like 3% or maybe as high as 7% have actually used their quote unquote ticket. And in some years, as we're quoting through reports, like the one I'm looking at right here on my screen is the Social Security Inspector General report. I think it was done in either 2016 or 2017. It indicated that there was like a 2 or 3% utilization annually. That's low. And then when you look at other data that suggests that there's poor outreach, the poor program design, and like there's a mismatch to real world needs, particularly now in, technology being integrated into the workforce and everything. And the program was really never designed to be able to, accomplish those goals, I guess, is the best way to put it. So, the math doesn't work. When you do just a rudimentary cost benefit analysis, you'll see that, like, again, out of another report that was produced by a different Inspector General, it indicated that between 2002 and 2015, Ticket to Work generated $133 million
and program savings by helping some people leave SSDI. And you would say, well, wait a minute, that's great, Dave. You're quote unquote saving money there. Well, two things. One, I don't think saving money should be the leader. I think that should be like secondary to getting people employed, right? That should be the main thrust of the program. And then, yes, you should be able to do that effectively to be able to free up these resources to be able to, put into the benefit programs to be able to help others. The reality is that 133 million costs 939 million to operate. So there's a net loss of like 806 million. So what are we doing? Like, we're not getting the more jobs, or the small amount of jobs that you did get. How many of them would have been gotten anyways? So it's kind of a lose-lose in that regard. Like, you're not benefiting the people with the jobs, and it's costing more money than the program is creating. So again, that's an issue. So it's a failure for people with disabilities, unfortunately, and that's the thing that we got to try to solve for. Because what does work bring? Work brings independence, self-determination, and that's a good thing. So we want programs that support that. And when they fall short, we really need to be cognizant of that and say, wait, what are we doing here? So we got to remember that nearly 2/3 of all working age people with disabilities are not in the labor force. So this program really is designed for people who either had work or were already in the labor force, or, this addresses step 2. I assert you first need to address step 1, is getting people resolved to want to work in the first place. Okay. So again, another talking point that I have here is that employment results are marginal at best. And again, out of a different report, 9.7% of program participants eventually left the benefit rolls due to sustained earnings. However, non-participants in similar situations left the rolls at almost the same rate. So both with and without the program, it was the rates were about the same. So yet we're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on a program and getting the same results as those without. Like, that doesn't really make sense. So it contradicts the program's central premise, which is to help people become more self-sufficient through employment. And that's a problem. And further, what it does, and this is concerning, is that it really sets up this, you don't want to say grift, that might be too harsh, but what it does is it sets it up for the providers to kind of game the system and really hold outcomes over the heads of people with disabilities, which is not good. And these employment networks get paid only when clients hit earnings benchmarks. So it's like this perverse incentive. And what happens is they end up like creaming. So like people with certain disabilities get a lot of attention and get really great outcomes, whereas the rest of the people get parked and, really don't get any meaningful services out of the programs. And that's a problem. Okay. So the payment structure is got to be fixed. And, to me, it's let's revise the whole program, fundamentally reform it in order to address these issues. But that's unlikely. So working within what you've got, there's a better way to create regulations. First of all, the regulations there's hundreds of them, substantively hundreds of them, that need to be reformed in a comprehensive manner. Really, there should be a task force set up. Put me in charge. I'll fix this thing. One of the reasons why, if you Google my name, though, and bad things come up to make it look like I'm a bad guy, is because I was taking this on. And those systems don't like it when you try to reform it and try to fix things. They don't really appreciate that, because there is a bureaucracy set up there at the state level, at the federal level, and it really discourages any type of reform or positive action in terms of modernizing these programs. So, it's complex. There's a lot of ins and outs here, and you're using Social Security, which is a big labyrinth of bureaucracy, both on the federal side with federal employees, but then also with the contractors that they employ through their various contracts and, other programs. So, there's overpayment, there's, the whole benefit cycle, and the cliff effect still remains, which is problematic. And that's what the whole thing was put in place to solve for in the first place. So, like, what are we doing? So for people living with a disability, these administrative burdens and all of this like back channel stuff, none of that's helping them. None of that is helping the actual issue at hand here. So what are we doing? So the fact that tickets are only available to employment networks and VR agencies is another thing. Like we could see major improvement in the Ticket to Work program just by saying, you know what? No, forget about ENs and VR agencies. We're opening this up to anybody. We're going to make it so that entrepreneurs can set up a business and find placements and do the matchmaking. Or what about established staffing firms or job coaches or all of this? They should be able to place people too and get that ticket reward. Okay, so that's an easy way to do it. That's a very free market approach, like a instant innovation there that just fix a couple of regulations and that can all be better. And we can start getting people with disabilities into positive employment outcomes. So to me, I say let employers be part of this also. And why we have all these intermediaries involved, make it direct for employers to be able to do this as well. That'll unlock so much for people with disabilities to become employed and have good careers. So, there's ways around this. There's a path forward, and it's a market-driven path to cut the benefit cliff. And, like reduce $1 of benefits for every $2 earned. Like, simple things like that. But you're going to need Congress. You're going to need executive action. You're going to need, people at the table to be able to, again, create a task force to get all the people at the table that we need to convene this and really work through all these issues. We can make it better, but there are challenges too. So, us here at Save Visibility, we're positive. So we're talking about the ways we can fix it, but also the challenges with the program as well. So I hope this was clear. This is a big issue, and it really is like a larger part of the benefits cliff. We're going to do a couple of other episodes about this in the coming future. I've been doing some research here, and, I've written several papers policy-wise that I'm going to be putting out there as well. So if you're interested in this topic, please help us like, subscribe, comment, share, so we can keep great content flowing for you. I'm fired up as usual. It's David D'Arcangelo, another episode of Save Visibility, and I hope you have a great day.
For more information about disability employment issues, please visit our website, disabilityemploymentsolutions.com. The Save As Ability podcast is available on Apple Podcast, Spotify, our YouTube channel at Disability Policy Expert, or wherever you stream your podcasts. Subscribe, stream, rate, and review our shows. Your ratings and reviews help our show reach new audiences. Produced by Pod Pro Entertainment. Save As Ability lives within a network of podcasts located at podproentertainment.com. #TheNewRadio. Again, my name is David D'Arcangelo, and I'm your disability policy expert. Until next time, thank you. I hope you have a great day.